All right, so let's dive into this whole TikTok thing. It's been crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like a roller coaster. All the stuff about the ban in the U.S., the possible sale, and now Trump's like totally changing his mind. It's kind of wild. We've got a bunch of articles here to like help us break it all down.
Yeah, it's been nuts. It's crazy how fast things change in the digital world. Like, just last Saturday, TikTok went offline for everyone in the US right before that nationwide ban was going to start. And then, like, out of nowhere, Trump posts, "Save TikTok" on Truth Social. And he's, like, hinting that he might give ByteDance more time to sell it.
I know, right? Total plot twist. It's especially weird because he was the one who was like super into the ban back in 2024. He even like signed the bill that made it a law.
Yeah.
So before we get into all that drama, can you give us a quick like legal breakdown? What exactly does this ban mean?
Sure. So the ban comes from a law that was passed in 2024. It was aimed at companies like TikTok that are controlled by, well, what the US government calls foreign adversaries. Basically, the law gives these companies two choices. Either they sell their US stuff to an American company, or they get totally banned. And the Supreme Court just upheld this law, so it's serious business.
So this isn't just politicians messing around. There's like real legal stuff behind it. But why all the fuss about TikTok specifically? I mean, there are tons of other social media platforms out there.
It all comes down to data privacy. The US government is really worried about the Chinese government using TikTok to get information on Americans. Basically, they're worried about spying and stuff. Or using TikTok to spread, like, fake news and influence people.
Okay, yeah. I can see why that would be a problem. So they think that selling TikTok to a U.S. company would fix that.
Exactly. The idea is that if an American company owns and runs TikTok here in the US, the Chinese government won't be able to get all that user data anymore. Plus, TikTok would have to follow US laws and stuff.
Makes sense. So who are the big players who might buy TikTok?
Well, there are some pretty big names out there. You've got Elon Musk, who seems to be involved in everything these days. And then there's this group called Project Liberty, led by Frank McCourt. He's a billionaire who's been really vocal about data privacy. And of course, you've got the usual suspects like Amazon, Oracle, Walmart. Even Microsoft has been mentioned as a possible buyer.
Wow, that's quite a list. But how much are we talking about here? Like, what's TikTok's U.S. operation actually worth?
Get ready for this. The estimated price is somewhere between 40 and $50 billion. That's billion with a B.
Whoa, that's a lot of money. But I'm guessing selling something this big and important isn't just about, like, signing a check, right?
Oh, you're definitely right about that. This is way more complicated than a normal business deal. For one thing, the Chinese government has said they don't want to sell TikTok's algorithm. That's like the secret sauce that makes TikTok work. So that makes things tricky.
So it's not just about money then. You've got international politics and intellectual property rights and national security all mixed up in this. This is getting interesting.
And don't forget, this isn't the first time TikTok has been in trouble. Back in 2020, both Oracle and Walmart and Microsoft tried to buy it. Those deals fell through for different reasons, but it shows that this whole thing has been going on for a while.
So we've got a ban in place, a possible sale, and a lot of uncertainty. What are the possible outcomes here? What could happen to TikTok in the U.S.?
Well, there are a few ways this could go. One possibility is that Trump could actually go ahead with what he said and give ByteDance more time to find a buyer, someone that both the US and China are happy with.
Okay, so like a timeout for TikTok. That would give buyers more time to like work things out and maybe offer more money. What else could happen?
Another possibility is that the ban actually happens. It might sound weird since Trump is saying he wants to save TikTok. But even if he wants it, there could be a lot of pressure from politicians or legal problems that stop a sale or an extension. If that happens, TikTok could be gone from the US for good.
Wow, so even with Trump on its side, TikTok might not be safe. That's a big deal for all the people in America who use it every day.
Definitely. And it's not just about the users. If TikTok goes away from the US, it could change the whole social media world. Other companies would try to take its place. We might see big changes in the industry and how people create and watch content online.
That's a lot to think about. But let's say TikTok does get sold to an American company. What would that mean?
That's where things get really interesting. If TikTok gets sold, it could change how governments all over the world deal with data privacy and big tech companies. It could make other countries do the same thing to companies they think are risky. We might even see the internet become more divided and local.
So this whole TikTok thing is about way more than just one app. It's making us ask big questions about the future of the internet and who has the power. Governments, tech companies, regular people.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that every outcome has good and bad sides. A ban might help with national security, but it could also stop new ideas and limit what people can say. A sale could keep TikTok alive, But it might also cause problems with competition or give the buyer too much power. There are no easy answers.
It sounds like we need to be really careful and make smart decisions about this.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what this means for normal people. Like, what if you use TikTok and you're worried it's going to disappear? What can you do?
Well, if the ban stays, you could try using a VPN. It makes it look like you're using the internet from a different country where TikTok is still allowed. But VPNs have their own issues with privacy and security. It's not a perfect solution.
So there are ways around it, but they're not ideal. What about all your videos and data on TikTok? If the ban stays, does all that just disappear?
That's a good question. And there's no simple answer. TikTok says users can still download their data, but we don't know what happens to all the data that's already on their servers. And we have to think about what happened in 2020 when India banned TikTok. There were reports that ByteDance still had access to Indian users' data even after the app was banned there.
So our data could end up with a company that's controlled by a government we don't trust. It's kind of scary. This brings up some bigger worries about data privacy and national security. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it really shows how much tension there is between these huge tech companies and governments that want different things and regular people who just want their privacy and security protected. We're in a whole new world, and it's making us ask some tough questions.
Yeah, like a biro. Where do we draw the line? How do we keep the country safe, but also keep the internet open and let people say what they want? It's a lot to think about. It's kind of overwhelming, honestly.
It is. But that's why it's important to stay informed and understand all the different sides and what could happen. That's what this deep dive is all about, helping you understand all this crazy stuff.
Exactly. We're trying to cut through all the noise and give you the information you need to like make up your own mind and make good choices online. This whole TikTok thing really shows you how much power these social media companies have. We're talking about bans and billions of dollars and countries fighting with each other. It's pretty wild.
For sure. It's like a wake-up call to really think about how technology affects our lives and the information we share online, what it all means. This TikTok thing is just one part of a much bigger story. We're going to keep dealing with these issues of data privacy and national security and even what free speech means in a world where everyone's connected.
It makes you wonder, like, what's next? What other big internet fights are going to happen? And what part are you going to play in it all? What choices are you going to make about the apps you use and the information you share and how you act online? It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it is. But that's why it's so important to keep learning and understand all the different sides and think about what could happen because of the choices we make online. The internet's always changing, and we all have a part in shaping what it becomes.
Well said. So if you're interested in learning more, we encourage you to keep digging. Look up the people and companies we've talked about. Read about different opinions on data privacy and how the government should regulate tech companies. And most importantly, make up your own mind. This is your internet too.
Don't just use technology. Help decide what it becomes.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into the TikTok ban. We looked at the legal stuff, the political stuff, and what it all means for people like you and the whole internet. It's a complicated issue with no easy answers. But hopefully you understand a bit better what's going on and what could happen in the future.
And remember, the internet is always changing. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay involved.
Until next time, happy diving.